One of the two.
Sure. Okay. Before you go into God exists and how He created this universe, let's talk about this particular, the other alternative.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's only so much I can say.
I'm saying, remember, once we deal with this alternative, we have to go to the other alternative to see whether this is rationally feasible, whether it makes sense or not. You can't just deal with one alternative and then say, that's it, I've proven the other.
No, I didn't say that.
No, I'm saying, I'm with you now.
Okay,
I'm saying we cannot say, once you've proven that, it means the other is right, because we need to check the other and see whether that makes sense too.
Okay, the floor is yours.
Right. So in the second alternative, non-existence, which is not always been there.
Okay, right.
Remember, I subscribe to the position where there's always been something there, okay? So I'm talking about the other alternative.
Right, okay, yeah.
The alternative that you seem to subscribe, but not certain.
All right, yeah.
We follow so far. So in this position, there is non-existence and then existence proceeded from it, or existence was risen from it, or came out from it. Non-existence became existence. When non-existence is absence of every existence, how do you get existence? In which scientific theories, logical theories or arguments that you can use and say, yes, it's possible? I don't see it's possible in any way, shape or form.
Well, so, and again, I don't think you can know either way, but I would say there's a sort of, again, I'm going to use it again, I'm going to say a finite time without boundary. Okay, because time is such a difficult concept to grasp. Okay, in the sense that it may be curved. It becomes meaningless to say whether or not there is a beginning. I don't know how else I can.
I kind of get what you're trying.
You get what I'm. Can you put it to him in a way that it's better than
what you're
what I can
saying
say?
as well.
Yeah.
I think you're wrong. I've been listening.
I can't get what you're saying.
Well,
explain.
Thank you.
Intellectual rubbish.
Okay, explain. Explain.
Thank you, but
You've heard him. Explain now.
I'll explain something.
Did you hear my question though? By the way, with all respect,
What you've said.
what was my question?
What to hear?
Yeah.
How can non-existence not exist if it doesn't exist? Some rubbish like that.
No, that wasn't my question.
You're talking
Sorry, with all respect. With all due respect, no, what I'm saying is, when you offer your response, it's only fair, do you not agree, that the response is in line with the question that is asked?
Yes.
Right. So the question that I asked, I will tell you what I asked. When you have non-existence, how do you get existence from non-existence?
I'll answer that.
Thank you.
I'll answer it. I'll put a question to you. Does death exist? Answer that.
I'm not answering anything. I'm going to ask
You
you.
can't answer it.
It's not that I can't answer
Right
it.
intellectual.
You
Can't answer
you
it.
agreed with my friend here, Jacob, was it?
It's a simple
Jacob.
question. It's a simple question. Does death exist?
Explain. Oh, okay. Define death.
You can't
This is
define
an argument I
death
wasn't
because
gonna
it doesn't exist.
Sorry. If you ask me a question, your question has certain words in the language that you're speaking with me in English. Every term must have a meaning. If it's meaningless term, then I cannot provide you any response. So when you say, does death exist? So, does, I know what does mean in English language. I can pick up a dictionary on my phone and I can tell you what does mean. Does, did, do, right? Right. Death is the key point. Well, I'll come back to it later. Existence, yes, it's a defined term. So I'm asking you simply, what do you mean by death? Would you like to qualify your term, define it in simplest way?
The answer is
Death
no. It doesn't
exist.
exist. It doesn't exist.
You see, you're not responding and engaging with me. You asked me a question for me to respond to you. Do you? Okay, it's not fair.
Yes,
for me to respond to you, I need to understand all the terms in your statement.
It doesn't exist.
But he's not asking that. He's
It's
asking
death,
does it
right?
mean-
Who can ever experience death?
Sorry.
But it's very, very
Sorry, I find it not
you
very.
can't experience it.
I find it not very beneficial.
It's
This.
an abstract concept.
Okay. Do you find it beneficial to continue?
So I appreciate that you want to get involved, but I think if you sort of miss each other's questions, you can't really sort of gain any real benefit from it. No, but to be
How can I answer something when your terms is quite vague? You need to explain to me what you mean by.
It's very simple, right?
Okay.
I said to you,
Thank you. Death.
doesn't exist.
Are you asking me something, or are you making a
Let me
statement?
carry on. You can't experience something that doesn't exist. It's impossible. That's why we're all alive. There's only life. That's it.
Okay. Initially, you asked me a question, right?
Yes.
Right. You asked me, does death exist?
Yes.
Thank you. Qualify your term death. What it means.
Told you, it doesn't exist. It's an abstract concept.
Okay.
But would you say it's a word that we use to describe the point from which we as humans move from existence into non-existence, or if you're religious, then from this existence into some other plane of existence? I would say it's just a word to describe a change of state. Does that satisfy you? Oh.
Yeah, a little bit.
Right.
That's semantics, isn't it?
Well, it's everything's semantics. Yeah.
The reality is, all I'm saying, I'll repeat it over and over again, and nobody understands this, very few people. Death doesn't exist.
I agree with you.
You're not going to experience something that's not there. It's absolutely impossible.
non-existent.
So basically, you're asking me. So you're asking me this question. So you're asking me this question.
Child could
Okay.
understand.
Tell me when you finish.
Yes.
Okay. So you asked me a question about something that doesn't exist. Does something doesn't exist exist?
You're supporting your cause, by the way.
Please, please. Your question to me is for me to answer something that doesn't exist. Does it exist?
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. That's what you're asking me.
Something that doesn't exist doesn't exist. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Yeah. So you're saying no. You're saying something doesn't exist. Does it exist? Okay. Let me tell you why your question is not a question. It's a rhetorical statement. To be a question, a statement to qualify into a question. Sorry, I have to give you this information. It has to have two essential properties. Two essential properties. Number one, it has to have potential answers, and it must be free from internal contradiction. For example, if I ask you, and you, how many legs does the sun walk upon? 2 or 3? Now, wait. So, is my statement a question? I'm asking I'm framing it like a question, and I'm even giving you options. 2 or 3 legs does the sun walk upon?
But it's a silly question.
No, it's not a question. It's not a question. The reason why it's not a question is this. I'll tell you why it's not a question. Because a question must be free from internal contradiction. The sun, please, the sun does not have legs. I cannot then ask, how many legs does it walk upon? 2 or 3? When we affirm the sun doesn't have legs. It's a meaningless rhetoric.
A nonsensical question might as well be not a question, I think, basically. You can say it's meaningless.
It's a rhetorical statement. So when you ask me a rhetorical statement, you actually haven't asked me a question to answer. So I am not obliged to answer anything because there was no question asked. So come back to you, my friend, Jacob.
Yes. What did we? I can't remember where we left off.
We were talking about how do non-existence come into existence or become existence in your model?
Yes, I forgot what I was speaking about, but essentially, I think I'm trying to explain that time may be shaped as such that it's finite but without boundary, which means you don't need to ask, where did existence begin, but you also don't need to ask the question of, but is it infinite or not?
You're going in a different way of solving the equation. Remember, when you have an equation, you can either way start right from each other and see whether it works. Yeah. I am asking you to start. It might be an
absurd equation.
No, I'm asking you to start from this position, non-existence.
Yeah.
Right. So you have non-existence to begin with. Non-existence, like my wallet with no money, for example. Now, how do we get money from my wallet when there's no money? You have non-existence. How do you even get a boundaryless or infinite time? How do you even get to that point when you begin with non-existence?
Based on that model, because that's a model concerning time, there may not have been non-existence to begin with.
You see, I'm finding it very strange to discuss with you, Jacob. I said there are 2 binary propositions in terms of our existence. One is always existence, another is not. So we are talking about the position where it's not always existence. In that position, you're jumping back to the other position. You're saying, no, that's not. That's what I'm trying to arrive at.
Okay.
When we use our mind, our intellect, our rational faculties, you will see that second alternative doesn't make sense. You have to resort back to the first alternative, meaning the only viable rational explanation, the only alternative. You keep saying, in this, but it's that. That means the proposition of the second alternative is not an alternative. It's not something that you can even discuss or even argue for. You're actually arguing for the other one. I agree.
don't know which I'm arguing for.
No, okay, I am saying if you really analyze each one in turn, and we did the one which is there was non-existence to begin with, if you analyze it, you know that this is not something that any rational human being can accept. If you say that rational human being can accept that model, I would like to know rational arguments that non-existence can become existence. Which rational arguments can you use to come forward with this particular concept?
I don't know. My closest thing I can
Bring
say,
your friends and philosophers and scientists in here, but start with non-existence and then arrive at existence.
Stephen Hawking was never my friend, unfortunately. But
Doesn't matter. What we're saying is support us.
Right.
Remember, in the Quran, it's quite interesting. I'm going to tell you something about the Quran. In the Quran, when Allah says, when Allah challenges people to bring a chapter like unto the Quran, because the Quran, we Muslims believe that it is something of a divine origin, that it cannot be a product of anything of the creation. To lend credibility and support of this divine authenticity and divine origin, right? And when Allah actually speaks about this, He says, those of you who are in doubt that this is not from God to His servant Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then what they have to do is produce a chapter like unto it, and if they cannot do it themselves, they can seek helpers and supporters to this job. So it's a standard principle in the Quran. When we are discussing something, if I'm not unable to, I can seek support. You can seek support from philosophical models or from models from science. Give us a rational explanation how non-existence can become existence. Get your support. I have no problem with that. Because personally, you might have exhausted all possibilities what you've read, but there might be someone they will say, look, okay, but I think this person, Feynman, or this philosopher, this is what he put forward. This is where you can ask, but you need to start with non-existence.
Okay, well, in the context of your question, I need to start from
Yes.
non-existence.
Yes.
Personally, because I'm not a physicist and I'm not a philosopher and I'm not a theologian, I can't tell you.
Right.
But no one can.
So so that means, think about now, in any kind of rational basis,
Right.
science has to be rational, by the way. In any rational basis, we cannot see how non-existence can become existence. That's what you're telling me. You are actually...
Well, I'm not science.
It's not about science only. Rationality can be even purely from philosophical...
I think what you're saying then now is you're looking at things from, you see, a natural mind. But you see, if you look on a thing of a spiritual mind, you will see things differently. You see,
I don't think that's what he...
what I say, it applies. If we look at things from our natural self, you see, a natural mind, we're limited. We have limits in our understanding. Okay, you got quite intelligent people. I'm not disrespectful, but you see that there is something outside that, something greater. There's an understanding, you see, in a spiritual realm, like you see, that you can see. It opens us up to a different, understanding of things. Like that's an expert from what you're saying there. When you said about you're looking at the natural understanding of human beings, but there is something greater.
To understand the natural world, though, naturalism is a pretty good model. That's what it means.
In a way, yeah. But as far as it goes, you can understand things. But what I'm saying to you is that there's greater. There's greater. There's more to be. There's more to understand it, you know what I mean?
Is there?
And yeah, there is. But you will have to experience it like that. When people tell you certain things, like you see how you can come to understand it, like how to open yourself up to that.
This presumes supernaturalism. From your perspective, naturalism. So there is going to be this conflict. You have to subscribe to one of these models, and these models will essentially, by their ideological concepts, they will conflict.
By definition.
If you are a naturalist, there are no supernaturals. But you're saying there are some supernatural because that's your perspective. But that's not I'm arguing.
Let me just tell you, naturalism is a perfectly reasonable position to hold because all you can observe in your life is natural. It's part of the natural world. So you've got no reason to believe in anything.
No, there is, because what I'm saying to you, having experienced it, you see, for myself, you see, not what someone else might tell me. Yeah, okay, I have been told certain things, but then I decided, I made the choice to, you see, to search and to listen to what certain people told me. and then certain things I believe to be true, and have the experience. It opened me up to understand it. You know, if I look back on my life a good many years ago when I was much younger, and I come to understand things that I didn't understand then. That's what I'm saying to you. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
Understood. Let's return.
all right,
Understood.
all right,
Okay. It's coming. It depends on where we're coming from, right? Okay. So, essentially, from a rational perspective, from a rational standpoint, you at this very minute cannot bring something that can be justifiable, even to your own satisfaction, that non-existence can become existence. Okay. This will be also my argument for you to think and reflect. If you think and reflect, like rationally speaking, that doesn't seem to be a viable alternative. It doesn't seem to be something appealing to our mind or our intellect. What appeals rather, that non-existence cannot come into existence. There has to be something that brought this existence into its existence. So what makes sense is there has always been something in existence, because otherwise we have the problem of like nothing creates something, nothing generates something, when we know that it doesn't make sense. So to recourse to this scientific nothing using the definitions of Lawrence Krauss doesn't help, because we can bring Lawrence Krauss back to the real definition of nothing, what we mean by nothing. Nothing is nothing. Absolutely absence of everything. That cannot give anything. In fact, we don't observe anything in our reality that pops into existence from nothing. Sure. Because those particles that comes, they actually doesn't come from nothingness. It's just a transformation from one state to the other.
We don't know that actually. We actually don't know that.
So if you say that, that means non-existence became existence.
Could, quite possibly.
How? How do you have? No. You see, if you bring this particular proposition, you have to make sense of it. When you have absolute nothingness, non-existence, how do existence come from non-existence when it has no energy, it has no gravity, no quanta, no fluctuations, nothing?
Technically, the universe has no energy either.
No, please. Let's not go into energy. Let's talk about particles.
Sure.
These particles, virtual particles, if they were nothing to begin with, they won't transform into existence, because it has nothing to transform into, because it's simply the absence of, as I said, quanta or gravity or fluctuation. Okay, these three terms will be sufficient to describe and refute or reject the idea that it's possible.
Can I ask you a question? Do you believe in miracles?
I'm a Muslim, I do, yes.
You do?
Right.
Yeah,
so let's come back.
Yeah.
So I think you misunderstood me in the first place, right? Okay. Miracles, by definition, are extra-natural events. Okay? So again, it's a question of naturalism and supernaturalism. So that means the other proposition, now let's return to the other proposition.
No, but I'm not satisfied by your explanation of the particles. I'm sorry that you could say,
so you have...
there's no explanation for it, therefore that's their nature, and we know for certain they can't pop into existence.
So basically, let's understand that again then. You have non-existent particle, meaning they don't exist. They have no energy. They have no gravity or fluctuation. There is nothing involved. How do you get particles coming from that state?
I don't know, but
I don't know. It's not an answer.
it is an answer.
No, it's not an answer. Listen, Jacob.
If you could just say you know to everything.
No, Jacob. Listen. If I go into an exam, an exam is mathematics. Question number 1. It has 4 multiple choice questions, and I answer none of them. Is that a right answer? Or if I say, they say, what do you mean by this, whatever, right? And I say, I don't know. That is not the right answer.
If you don't know,
it's the wrong answer.
The fact that it's on a mathematical question paper means that there is someone who does know.
No, please.
But these questions are not going to
the
be...
moment you say, I don't know, it's the wrong answer. It's not the right answer to the question, is it?
Only if the question is a question that can actually be answered.
Please.
For now.
When I ask you this question about how non-existence become existence, now, if you say, I don't know, it's the wrong answer.
No, it's not.
It's simply you're having no knowledge of the right answer.
Yeah, but that's a different...
That's the wrong answer.
Yeah, no, it's not for him. It's the right answer.
It's not the right answer.
If you don't know, you don't know.
No, it's my answer that nobody knows as of yet. People used to not know a lot of different things.
You see,
that nobody knows.
Sorry. When there is a question with potential answers, right? I don't know is a potential answer, but it's not the right answer.
Well, okay.
He knows fine. Okay, what day is it today is a question, right? Okay, now, potential answers are because we in our calendar, there are only 7 days by name, right? From Sunday to Monday, right? It could be any of them. If I say, he knows, that's a potential answer. But is that the right answer to my question, what day is it today? If I say, I don't know, there are only answers. Right answers are, it's Sunday. Or it could be Monday, whatever, right? If I say I don't know, that wasn't the right answer, Jacob. It's not the right answer.
No, it's not the answer. It's not the answer to the question. It's not correct.
Thank you. Not the correct answer. So I don't know is not the correct answer to the question of how does non-existence become particles.
Incorrect, because I'm saying that I'm unable to answer the question in the first place. That's just semantics.
It is not. It is not.
His answers to what?
Look.
Sorry.
It is essential that if non-existence become existence, there is a way it happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
It happened.
Good point.
So I don't know is not the right answer.
But it's an admission. It's a statement.
Sorry.
You don't know the way.
Jacob. I don't know is never the right answer to the question that is asked.
Not, but it's a